Hi, welcome to Big Data class. So far in the previous classes we have learned about what is Big Data and what are the uses of Big Data. Now in this class I am going to explain you the opportunities and the capacities of Big Data. We already all know that Big Data is a growing torrent. The growing torrent is in the sense it is a rapidly flowing aspects in every companies. That means it's a rapidly growing technology. First, if we have to buy a hard disk, we have to spend $600. Then only we can store all the world's music. For storing all the world's music means it is a big data. For that we have to have a large database. That's why we are buying a hard disk, which is much simpler if we use big data. Next, we are all using that social networks such as Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, etc. So each day everyone is sharing a content, posting a pictures, etc. So for every month, there are people are sharing 30 billion pieces of content in Facebook. Next, the company estimated the global data generated per year is 40% that of previous year. So in the coming years, the data gets increased and increased. They are just planning and projected growth, which is 40%. For example, in the US Library of Congress, each year they are collecting 235 GB of data. So these are all an example that big data is a growing torrent. Even in America, about 15 out of 17 sectors are collecting more data than the US Library of Congress, which means US Library of Congress in a sense they have data of their nation institution, conferences, education and so on. So 15 out of 17 sectors are using more data. Hence, big data comes into existence even more in America. Next, how it's gonna capture its value. So, how big data capture its value in the population now? Using big data, there is 60% increase in retailers operating machines. Retailers operating machines in the sense, in margin shops, the retailer can have a large database in which he can store which customer is rapidly which product is rapidly flowing into their market and which product is easily demanded and easily supplied, and which product is more demanded by the consumers. So they can maintain a large database. From that, they can recruit the product from the client so that it can increase their profit. So by using this data, there will be a 60% increase in retailers operating missions. Next, in job career opportunities, more than 1,90,000 more talented positions will be available for the students. So even America also looking for the talented students because big data always deals with statistical and analytic reports and flow of training data, which means data on the flow in. As I said, even America needs more managers, which means savvy managers means volunteers who have full knowledge of big data so that they can take the full advantage of big data. Nearly they need 1.5 million managers to take the full advantage of big data. Hence, big data will have a good opportunity in future, and it is capturing its value in the modern technology. Next, what is big data? Big data is nothing but really huge data sets. From the previous example, you can understand how big the big data is. The difference in big data is it needs complex approaches to solve problems. Means in small data set we are using a simple approaches like a simple calculation or simple program to solve the problem. But due to the variety in big data, that means different data types, we need different approaches for solving the problem in a different way. So we can ask why traditional computing systems are not used for big data, but traditional computing techniques are more expensive and time consuming. As there are large data sets, we can't use traditional computing systems for the operations with big data. Next comes the characteristics of big data. We all know that three V's contribute to the big data. The three V's are velocity, volume, and variety. First, volume in the sense it's the amount of data flowing in an organization. The amount means the volume can be varied from gigabytes to terabytes and terabytes to zettabytes, etc. Nowadays, the volume of the data is being more, which is generated in this world. Next, variety. Variety means the different types of data available, which means images, HTML data, XML data, etc. In general, we can say as structured and unstructured data, which means a variety. And next is the velocity. Velocity is the speed of data flowing in an organization. It's a, how much the data is generated per second, etc. We can differentiate the data as three types: batch and real-time or interactive or streaming data. Initially, batch. Batch means running the query in a scheduled way. That means you already know what your question is, and you have to return a MapReduce program to process the data. And your data is in a few large files as opposed to being spread out. So these are a simple standard questions you want to be answered regularly. Even if you are processing a batch data, your answers will be generated even after some seconds, minutes, etc. Even for the simplest query, we have to develop complex map-reduce programs. Next is real-time or interactive. Real-time means we have to generate the answer in milliseconds, which means example investment bank. If we are using an ATM, you have to insert a credit card and then the next second you have to give the pin. After that you have to fetch the amount. This means the result will be based in milliseconds. And next interactive. Interactive means you don't know your questions in advance. That is asking other questions. That is based if you are simply visiting a website for one answer, and from that link you are clicking on the link for another question's answer. So in this interactive designs, what becomes a challenge is the speed of execution. As the questioner becomes without the patience, the answer with a milliseconds. Next, the streaming data. Streaming data is comes under the big data, which is streaming means processing data as it comes in. Example, Twitter Storm, which is the leading tool for streaming data. This is simply data is continuously flowing and you want to get it insights as they are happening. That is, you have to generate results as they are happening. You have to accept the data from the live. For example, accepting the data from Facebook, generating one recurrence. That means how much time they are using the Facebook, how much posts they are shared in a single minute, etc. These are about the characteristics of big data. Next, big data popularity. Big data popularity in India, the Modi's government has have used the big data for their elections, but in previous Obama in 2012 to 2013 have used in his research. For the better use of big data, they have suggested three plans, which is put the government's own data sets into open formats so that the normal people from outside can read the government's data sets, which is the rules and conditions to be abide by. Next, they are planning to push the states to include data or statistical literacy to their education plan so that the people from the school age can also learn the land data of the states. The nation conference is to establish ways to continuously collect data and prescribe topics, which is better than temporary snapshots. So they can rely on permanent databases. If they are changing their syllabus and they need to generate some contents from the prescribed topic, they can done it in an easier way. For reference, you have to visit webcast Obama goes big on big data. You can learn much more about big data popularity on that. Next, the advantages of big data. The advantages in the sense increased storage capacity. As we all know, for increased storage capacity only we can use big data as big data is really huge. Next, increased processing power. Anything beyond processing power is known as big data, hence processing power will be reduced. Availability of data. Availability in the sense the data present, data consistency. So in future classes we will learn about Hadoop, which is an open source project, which is a tool framework used for accessing data. In that the data will be stored as a replication. So we can prevent the data losses, which is known as availability of data. Next, limitations. As there are more data, the operations are complex because there are different types of data due to the variety characteristics of big data. Their operations on data are complex. So modeling and reasoning with data of different types will be simply complex. Advantage, that means overcome of big data is due to vast amount of data, modeling techniques can be similar. We are going to separate a vast amount of data into blockways and we are performing operations at the blockway sets. For example, smart counting will be replace complex based models, which will be learned to you in future. Thank you. These are all the capabilities and overcomes of big data. Thank you for watching this video.